Is it possible for you to move your camera up just a little bit so I get the top of your head too?
What, do you want to see that I have no hair? You making fun of me?
Oh, is that why you had it like that? How about I record like this and then everyone will think that I have no hair?
I can just set the mannequin behind me and I can do it like this. Then you can see my hair. That'll be like Gene Simmons. You're interviewing Gene Simmons.
So what is with the mannequin? Does someone in your house do hairstyling?
Well, no, we got it for my daughter, my youngest daughter, years and years ago, and she's a prankster. And so I do a live on Thursday nights at 8:30 Eastern.
I've been on it once or twice, yeah.
And so she likes to put things in different areas for my lives. And the first thing she did was she got this sticker here, and she put it on the back of the board where it was just right at my head. So it looks like I got a little poofy thing on my head. I mean, and then she would, then one time I had my tobaccos in back there, kind of behind my backdrop, and she turned them all around backwards. And then one day she put the mannequin in the corner, and I'm sitting there doing the live, and everybody's freaking out. They're like, who is that in the room with you? And I'm thinking, because I'm in the garage, and it's like a creepy garage. And I'm going, please do not tell me somebody is behind me. And they're like, there's somebody behind you. And it was the mannequin. So everybody named her Karen. And so Karen, she's not in the shot, they say, where's Karen? So I have to have Karen in the shot every time. So
that's awesome.
That's the story of the mannequin. You can thank my daughter for that one.
Cool. How old is your daughter?
She's 14.
My daughter just turned 15 in January, so my youngest. How many kids do you have?
I have two daughters. One's in college. She's 19, and then the 14-year-old. Nice.
Yeah, my oldest just finished his master's. He's 26, and then I have a 20-year-old, an almost 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old.
Nice. We were fortunate to have our 14-year-old. My wife had ovarian cancer.
Oh, no.
In between the two, and we didn't think we were going to have any more kids, and we did. Had one more. The doctor was not very happy with us for doing that, but after my daughter was born, everything else from my wife was removed just as a precaution. So they held off on removing the rest just because she got pregnant. So, wow. But she's fine now. Everything's great.
Thank God.
Yes.
That must have been a scary time.
It was very scary.
And it must have been scary when you guys got pregnant again, too. I mean, that takes some faith. Now, was it an accidental sort of thing? Oh, wow, we're pregnant. Or would you say, like, no, we're planning to do this anyway?
No, we weren't planning on it. Definitely wasn't planning on it when my wife came in and told me. And I'm like, uh-oh. I didn't think we were supposed to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
But, hey, it was God's plan. So it worked out just perfect.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'm so happy for you. It's great having children, isn't it? Like, don't you love having kids?
I love having girls. I told my wife I have a lot of nephews, and I said I just wouldn't know how to raise a boy. I wouldn't know how to do it. They're just so different.
Yeah,
boys. I have to, when I go visit my nephews, I have to work on my 6-pack abs, or either I have to get fat because I tell them it's padding for the nephews. Because first thing I want to do is come up and say, "Hey man, can I punch you as hard as I can in the stomach?"
Yeah, that's right.
All right, go ahead.
So how long have you been a Christian? You said your faith played a big part in your life? Yeah,
probably going on 12, 13 years now.
Wow, not your whole life then?
No, I grew up in a Christian home, but I was I was an atheist for a long time. And
really?
I wouldn't say atheist, maybe agnostic. I just didn't know, and I wanted there to be a God, and I defended God. I didn't like people. I didn't like songs that put him down. But again, I wasn't like just a believer or anything like that. And I started questioning. I started looking around, sitting on the porch, and just seeing things like in the springtime when things started growing back, like. Looked like a dead tree, and all of a sudden it's alive again. And I was sitting on the porch, and I have a tree in my front yard. I'm sitting at it, and it has the little seeds that come on it that has like a little wing. So when it's like a helicopter coming.
Yeah, we used to call them helicopters when I was a kid.
And I have it up here and on my shelf. And I was sitting there, and this helicopter flew down and it landed on the top of my foot, and it stayed there. It's kind of like the Forrest Gump when the feather lights on his foot kind of thing. It was kind of like that. And so I pick up the seed, and I'm looking at the seed, and it looks like a bug's wing. It has veins and everything. And I'm going, how in the world did this tree know to make a seed with a wing on it? And I started thinking about, well, why did it do that in the first place? I said, well, if the seeds fell straight down, it can't get sunlight because the mother's there. The mother tree's there. It's in shade. It's not going to grow. And if it did grow, it's going to take away from the mother tree. So the mother tree decided to let the seed float away so it could grow. I was like, I don't think trees are that smart.
Right.
But there's got to be something behind a designer of that tree. And then I started looking around and seeing order in the universe and order here. And I was like, well, if you see a painting, there's going to be a painter, although you didn't see the painter paint it, but there's a painter. Right. Because the painting's there. So you see order and design out in nature. And I said, there's got to be an order or designer. So that's where it started. And I was like, well, who is this God? I didn't know if it was the Christian God or the Muslim God or all these others. I didn't know what it was. So I just went out and I started doing my research, and I came to realize that everything I tried to prove the Bible wrong. And that's when I knew when you can't prove it wrong, it's got to be right. And so then I was all in and started visiting churches and trying to find out all I could. And when I had no more questions, I said, well, it's time.
So the obvious question that comes to my mind when you tell that story is, why did it take you so long to look at that whirligig, that helicopter, that seed? Well, why did you not notice these things before?
I don't think I was really looking for it as much, but I think an underlying answer to that is I was scared to have somebody that I was accountable for my sins to. I think I wanted to live my life how I wanted to, and I didn't want to be accountable for that. That's the best answer I can come up with for that one.
It's funny you should say that, because I've heard a big reason why a lot of people claim to be atheists. It isn't really because they don't believe in God, but it's that they have a problem with God, or they don't want accountability. When you make up your own rules for the universe, when you say, well, it just happened, then there's nobody there's no one who has any say over how you live your life or what's important to you or whatever. So it's a real easy way to run your life,
And I think that's what one of the first lies ever told was Satan in the garden said, you can become God. If you eat this fruit, you will be like God. And that's what I think our number one is. We want to be our own God.
Right.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in the youth ministry for 10 years now. And I'm in charge of the 4th and 5th graders at our church. And I have about 40 kids.
Big church?
Just in 4th and 5th grade. It's not like a mega church or anything. I mean, we have 2 services, but we're really growing. We've been around for 22 years, this church, and but it's pretty good size. But I still know everybody. It's still big, small enough. Everybody.
Wow. So I know that in the U.S. compared to in Canada, a big church to us and a big church to you are 2 different things. So when you say it's pretty big, like, what does that mean? Do you have 2,000 people coming on a given weekend?
Yeah, we probably have somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people.
Yeah.
That's what I would guess.
We have what's considered to be a fairly big church where I work. And when we were doing pretty good, before we lost our pastor, we were around 250. So that's sort of the difference in between a big church here and a big church there.
Yeah, we consider a big church, like there's a church in Charlotte. I can't remember the name of it. It's a famous church, but they have over 1 million.
What?
Yeah, they have 5 campuses. The other campuses project the main. Stephen Furtick is his name, is the pastor. They project it on the wall. But yeah, it's, as far as that church is over 1 million people.
Wow.
So we call those mega churches down here.
That's right. I have been to Willow Creek Community Church in Chicago a few times.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I've played on their stage a few times. They had 14,000 in a service when I was going there, which I thought was gigantic. Like, that was from a church I was working at in Saskatchewan, which is north of North Dakota at the time, and we had about 600. So going to a 14,000 size church after that, was remarkable.
Wow. I'm just scared of a lot of the big churches. When I say mega churches, I don't think I could be a part of that. I like to be a part of a church that I know at least half the people,
Yeah, I feel the same way. Well, they say that you can really only be in relationship with about 75 people.
Yeah.
That's like your psychological max. People that you can remember their names, know their kids and what they do for a living, open your life up somewhat to them, and so to think that you could go to a congregation and have it like your church family and have it more than a few thousand, unless you're in some sort of a house church, a small group network, or something that's within that church, a church within a church, I think you're going to miss a really big, important part of worship, which is fellowship.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We have small groups that meet. We have a small group meets in our neighborhood. My worship pastor is my neighbor across the street, and we meet at his house on Wednesdays. And then we have Sunday small groups. We have different things to accommodate different people, younger people, young couples, older, seniors, things like that. But our mission is to serve local and serve globally. And so our missions are, we have missions that serve locally, and we send missions all over the world as well. So,
wow, that's great.
And
sounds like you really love your church.
Oh, we do. And my wife, the same way she runs, we used to call it Vacation Bible School, but we started a sports camp where we get coaches to come in. And instead of doing Vacation Bible School, we do the same format as VBS, but we do sports camp with soccer, basketball, dance. And then we have a news crew that does like the ESPN, and the kids go film the OWN, and they make their own program. And my wife did all that. And,
I love that. What a great idea. Go ahead.
She is a gifted teacher, meaning she teaches gifted kids. They call it AIG, academically and intellectually gifted. And so she's very, very kid-oriented, creative, getting their minds thinking. So she was perfect for that fit.
Wow. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Wow. And did you grow up in this area?
I grew up in South Carolina. Me and my wife both did. We met when we were in the 10th grade, started dating in the 11th grade.
Wow.
And we've been together ever since. And so I moved up here for NASCAR. I started drawing the paint schemes for the race cars. And so I had moved up here, got a job, and then she moved up here and got a teaching job. And we've been here ever since.
That's great.
That was 2003.
Did you draw that smoking man behind you? It looks like a 1950s ad.
No, I didn't draw that. I found some ads on the internet, and I sent them to photo, whatever it is. You send them to and make posters, and I just wanted to have some cool vintage artwork.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. What was it like working at Disney? Like right now, Disney is such a, the reputation it has in Canada anyway among, I would say probably predominantly evangelical Christians, sort of more conservative types, is that it's sort of become a cesspool for leftist ideology.
Not really.
Is that true?
When I was there, it wasn't. I was there in 97. So, I mean, again, I religion and all that left, right, and all this, I didn't care. I just wanted to be a Disney animator until I saw, just like everything, there's politics, internal politics involved as far as, it's a dog eat dog world in animation. And
really?
You had the big guys like Glenn Keane and and all those guys, his dad he did the Family Circus.
Okay. Yeah, I recognize that name.
This animator was the main animator on Little Mermaid, Aladdin. I mean, he was the big guy. And people just would step on each other to try to get those positions. I just saw them right on the wall. I was doing in-between work. And what that means is the main animators would draw and I would smooth it out, draw in between. And it was just, tedious work and not very, did not get rich at all from Disney. I can tell you that.
Really, eh?
So I decided, I was like, I'm gonna do comic books. So I don't have to draw so much. I can just do a comic book. I did that, and it was fairly successful. I sold most of my comic books in England.
Wow.
And then from there, I've always been a NASCAR fan, and I came up and visited a race and saw the cars and never seen it in person. I started drawing paint schemes and sent some stuff up to Humpy Wheeler. He was he was the president of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he came up with the concept of these small little cars. They call them legend cars. They're still racing today, but it's for mainly teenagers. And they at the speedway, they have like a little quarter-mile track. Well, he wanted them to have faces and be characters like the cars, like Disney. So I'm not saying that this is it, but he was friends with Eisner, who was CEO at Disney at the time that Cars came out.
Okay.
And I did those drawings for them, and the cars, when they came out, they looked just like my drawings.
You're kidding.
And so I don't take credit for it, but I have to think in my mind that I might have been a little instrumental on that as well, giving those cars. Well, it was Humpy's idea, but I just drew them. And
So. Any hard feelings about that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of flattering, I had a car called the Rumbler, and he had the eyes and like a snarl, and they were just really cool looking little cars, and the kids loved them. They come. That's what the kids came in free, but the parents has got to come and pay for a ticket. So Humpy was always thinking, I got to get kids out here. And then he started having school bus races where he'd get the local principals at the elementary schools to come in and drive a school bus race on this quarter-mile track. And school buses are flipping around, and then the kids would get involved and they'd get to paint the bus. And so they have all these little paint schemes that the kids got on, and he was a genius. So that's how I got my start. And after that, I got contacted by Tony Stewart, and he was having a car with Charlie Brown. He wanted Charlie Brown was sponsoring his car, and so he wanted me to do that. And so I did a Charlie Brown car for Tony, and then it was on from there. I did the Justice League cars for Hendrix. I did the Shamu car. I did SpongeBob cars. I did all kind of cars for them.
That's really cool.
And that was fun. That was probably my heyday, the happiest I was in my life.
Yeah.
Up until now, I'm happy now. So
do you get to do much drawing now as a youth leader?
Well, a youth leader, mine is just volunteer. So I work. That's what I do for a living. I do T-shirt art.
I see.
Major retailers and things like that.
Oh, so you have like your own business for that kind of thing?
Well, I work for a business. I am their lead artist, and I have my own accounts that I sit here and work and do my work. I don't ever hear from anybody. I just,
Well, that's kind of neat.
As long as I get my stuff done and keep making the company money, they don't care.
Wow, that's really cool.
And then I have a online store from Etsy. I do a lot of mascots for the local schools, like Eagles. The Eagles are, different mascots. Well, I put them on Etsy for other people around the world for their schools. If they want my mascots, they can download the whole kit, $4.50, and they've got their school mascots. And
wow. Make sure you send me that link because I'll put it in the description for anybody interested.
Sure. Absolutely. But yeah, I call that my tobacco money. All that goes in a little account. That's my playing around, buying tobaccos and pipes or whatever. So,
how long have you been smoking a pipe?
2011, March 12th, 2011. It was my mom's birthday. It was the first time I smoked a pipe.
Sounds like there's a story there.
No, I'd been thinking about it for a while. One of my favorite shows is Andy Griffith.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a guy smoking a pipe, and my grandfather smoked a pipe, and I saw this guy smoking a pipe. And I said, people don't do this anymore. I said, that's cool. I like to do things that are different like that.
Me too.
You don't see that anymore. I remember my grandfather just being in his chair, reading his paper or his Bible and sitting back, and how relaxed he was, and the smell. And I remember going and smelling his pipes on his rack and just sitting back and smelling them. And I'm like, when I get older, I'm going to do this. Of course, I forgot all about it until I saw that guy on Andy Griffith doing it. So I went and I said, I'm going to go find a pipe, some tobacco. And so I went, there's a store next to Walmart and it said tobacco on it. And I said, well, I'll go there. They'll probably have something. Well, they sell glass pipes and, we call them a head shop down here, And so I went in there and they had corncob pipes. And I'm like, I don't think I want a corncob pipe. That's like, Frosty the Snowman. I want a wooden pipe. So I ended up buying a Missouri Meerschaum hardwood pipe, one of those little cherry hardwoods. I still got it on over there somewhere.
Yeah.
And I bought some Smoker's Pride whiskey or rum flavor or something like that.
I smoked that this morning.
It's good. It's good stuff. It burnt the crap out of my tongue, but.
Well, yeah, the whiskey especially, I find it's a little too hard.
I didn't know anything about smoking a pipe. I was sitting on the porch. I just called my mom, wish her happy birthday. That's why I remember the exact date I started smoking a pipe. I don't know if you know the exact date you started smoking, but not many people do.
No. The first time I smoked was my bachelor party when my dad brought cigars around for everybody. So that would have been, I guess, February 25th, 1994. I think. Hopefully my wife doesn't watch this video and say 1993 or whatever it was. But after that, I always wanted to smoke a pipe, but I grew up thinking it was a sin, and so I've mentioned that in some of the other videos I've done. It was like I moved to New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey for 5 years and went to a church that was a seeker targeted church like Willow Creek, and mostly Dutch Reformed people went to that church. Yeah. And I'd never seen people who could drink and smoke and still sing praises and love Jesus and be a good witness. And so I thought, maybe I'm legalistic.
Well, I don't know if you know who Charles Spurgeon is.
I sure do.
He was a cigar smoker. So
yeah.
I said, well, if Charles Spurgeon can smoke a cigar, I think I'll get by smoking a pipe, because I ain't nowhere near close to what Charles Spurgeon is.
Well, you also have C.S. Lewis on your side. And
C.S. Lewis, yes. And
J.R. Tolkien. Yeah.
Tolkien, yeah.
And about a dozen others, I'm sure. Or more.
That's why I got this this pipe here. It says, no, which one? I've got an ad, and it says, it's a fact, pipe smokers live longer. It's like a 1950s ad. Maybe out in the garage. I'm still redoing my office, but yeah, I bought that. I got that one just for the look of it, and I got the other that I was telling you about with the pipe smokers live longer, because it says that on the poster. I was like, see? Told you.
I think there is something to be said about the health benefits of relaxing, taking a moment to. It's not like you can really do things at the same time as you're smoking a pipe. It's not meant for, taking a quick smoke break.
No. I get nothing, as for only thing I get out of it is relaxation, enjoyment. And I don't ever Jones for a pipe or anything like that.
Yeah, no, me neither.
It's just, I can't think of anything more relaxing other than, maybe having it while trout fishing or something. That might be a little bit more relaxing. Or I love, camping in the mountains and hearing a stream and just sitting back in a hammock and smoking a pipe. I mean, man, it's so nice.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
We're bacheloring it up today.
Nice. Well, my kids are all away this weekend, so my wife and I have the house to ourselves. We're so excited about it. I said to her, we just screened in this back porch last summer, and I said to her, the couch I'm sitting on is a couch bed. I looked at her in the eye and I said, how about we sleep outside tonight? And she said, okay. So that was 2 scores, right? So that's awesome. I think we're going to have a little camping night out here in their back porch.
That's awesome. I have a house on Lake Hartwell in Clemson, South Carolina, and we have a screened-in porch back there, and it's got, and when we go down there, if it's springtime, fall, or if it's a cool summer night, I am sleeping on that porch. My wife already knows that's where he's sleeping.
Awesome.
Love it.
It's a great place to have naps too. Just laid on this couch and
I'm not a big nap guy. Naps for me, when I wake up, I feel terrible. I'm like, I should have took a nap.
Maybe you're napping too long.
Probably. That's probably what it is.
I think there is a magic sort of sweet spot for the length of a nap. I like a nap that goes a couple hours, but then I feel like junk. But if I can,
that's it.
If I can keep a nap going for 45 minutes or half an hour, I find that to be the best.
I was thinking maybe we could set a timer, but when you're taking a nap, you never know when you're going to fall asleep because you don't really plan it. So you can't plan how long you're going to sleep.
It's true.
I guess, like on Sundays, I do like to try to take a little nap every now and then after church. I may get my wife to say, hey, all right, when I start snoring, hit the timer. Okay.
Smart. Yeah. I wish it'd be neat if these. I have one of these smart watches or whatever they're called, a Fitbit. It would be neat if they know when I fall asleep. I wonder if there's a way to tell it that after I've slept for half an hour and wake me up.
There probably should be something. You should look that up and let me know about that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Do you have a Fitbit too?
I don't, but I would not above getting one. I mean, I'm trying to lose a lot of weight. when I say seafood diet, it's strictly seafood. It's not all the food I see. I
was thinking of that.
Doing some walking exercises, and I'm down to. I got on scales yesterday, went down to 191, so I've lost almost 20 pounds.
Good for you.
So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I've lost 20 pounds too just recently. I'm at 186.5 right now.
Yeah, that's probably my target. Is 185 is what I really would love to get down.
I want to get back to when I got married, which was 160. I think maybe I'll be too thin at 160, but it would be nice.
You won't believe this, and I will show pictures of this. When me and my wife got married, I weighed 125 pounds.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, my wife used to work at a department store called Belk's down here, and she got discounts, but she would buy my clothes in the kids section because I wore a 27-inch waist, and it was half the price of the other stuff. So I would wear kids' clothes.
That's funny.
And then we were married a year, and I showed my wife. I was like, "Look at my belly," and I had a little belly. She goes, "You're doing that." No, I'm not. And it was just crazy. And then the next year, I was like, 210 pounds. There you go.
Wow. Well, I weighed 140 when I met my wife. So her sister said to her, "There's no way I would ever date a guy that had narrower hips than me." But I didn't care. I mean, she didn't care, and I didn't care. Whatever. It didn't take me long with her cooking to gain it all on. She's a farm girl, so she knows how to cook. Let me tell you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am the cook in this house. So,
Did you say unfortunately?
Yeah, because it's nice to have somebody that can cook you a meal every now and then. My wife, she makes good oatmeal and cereal. That's about it.
Okay, sounds like me. I can make a hot dog. My dad used to say, I think he was joking. I'm pretty sure. I know he was joking now, but he used to tell me as a kid that the question I have to ask a prospective wife is, he would sing this little song, "Can she bake a cherry pie, Billy boy, Billy boy?" And so I had in my head that I had to find a wife who could cook, like baker and cook, Right. So I hadn't really fully processed that was a joke. But I'm glad I didn't, because I love to eat.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't an artist, I would like to have my own restaurant, like a real good fine dining restaurant. I won Briar Blues, if you're familiar with him. He put a cooking challenge on last year, and I won first place in that one.
No way.
I actually won this pipe here, and it is unsmoked still. It's Costello grade pipe.
That's pretty.
It was first place for the cooking challenge, and I've yet to smoke it. I think I'm going to save it to when maybe I have a grandchild born or something like that. I have a tobacco here that's McCraney's Red Ribbon, made by McClelland's, and it is a 1983 Red Virginia.
You're kidding.
Yep, and unopened. And so I will crack this with this pipe whenever I have a grandchild.
Nice.
It's still got some time to sit on the shelf. So
from 1983.
Well, it's a 1983 crop. That means the tobacco is, and it was tinned in 1990 something. So
I see.
But it's a 83 crop.
I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. So many of the smokers on the YTPC are real aficionados. Yeah. And, they've got these cellars, and not me. I think I just smoke a pipe mostly for the nostalgia of pipe smoking. I've always really liked the old-fashioned ways. I'm a change agent wherever I go. Churches hire me to come in and start new services, and I'm always pushing for new. And yet, something about my personality, I love old.
Yeah. Yep. Just to give you an example, here's some more Red Ribbon. This is 1996. And this was tinned in 2006.
Wow.
So.
And that's opened?
Yeah, this one's open. I have 4 or 5 more of these. So I'm smoking. I'm not going to save these. I'm smoking these. As far as saving tobacco, I cellar it until it's right to smoke, and then I'm smoking it. I mean.
How do you decide when a tobacco is nice, when it's ready to smoke?
That's a good question. I mean, Full Virginia Flake is probably my favorite that you can get right now that's available, because McClelland's is no longer available. And right around 2 to 3 years, it starts to darken. I just look and see how dark it gets. When you first get Full Virginia Flake, it's just brown, light browns and browns. Then it'll get dark. When it's dark, it's ready.
I see.
So I'd say 2 to 3 years on that one. And the longer, the better for Virginias. Wow.
And that gives it, what, a warmer taste, more of a mellow
It's taste? Mellow. I mean, it's smoother. You don't have that harsh, like a young Virginia. You open a can of Cornell and Dill, Guacamole or whatever, and you smoke it. It's just got a little roughness, a rough edge on it. You can just, it doesn't give you tongue bite, but it makes my tongue feel like it's got a little sandpaper on it. It's just got a little roughness to it. Yeah. Let it sit for 2 years and that'll be gone.
And that's why people stove tobacco sometimes, to sort of hurry along the.
Yep, definitely. Stove, and I press tobaccos too. I have a couple of presses here, and pressing will add some age to them as well. Yep. So tell me about that Canadian pipe you're smoking there.
Isn't this a pretty pipe?
That is nice. Canadians are one of my favorite shapes.
I just thought it was appropriate since you're talking to a Canadian today. This is a Gentette. I believe Vintage Pipe Nightmares told me that it is from France. It's a Neuilly, Neully. Neuilly? I'm not sure how to say that exactly. I got it there's a store in Canada called Value Village, and it's basically a chain secondhand store. They're all across Canada, and they're just full of used clothes and junk, the type flea market type stuff.
Right.
So I think it was probably $10 or $14 for this pipe.
Good smoker.
Yeah, I don't smoke it very much, but it's got a big bowl in it, so I thought it would be nice for a nice long smoke as we chatted.
Yeah, definitely. I think I have 4 or 5 different Canadian shapes. I guess the Labatt is probably my favorite shape from the Canadian family. Yeah. But, this is a Phil Rivara. He's a YTCP pipe maker.
Cool.
Extraordinaire.
I've made 1 or 2 Canadians, but they're scary to make because you got this shaft spinning around on the lathe like that, and it's a knuckle buster, let me tell you. And I've broken a few because I just forgot. Put your hand there for a second, or your chisel. So.
Oh yeah. I have a Canadian that Simon from England, London calling the Simon, has a channel. He makes pipes.
Yeah, I follow him.
And he made me a pipe. I don't know where it is, but it's a Canadian, but it's a 9mm. And you talk about having a 9mm with a Canadian long shank. That's you're getting into some highly skilled artisan to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they're hard too because the shank is supposed to be oval and not round. So
Right.
you can't, you can turn it to drill the holes, but to get it nice and symmetrical, it's pretty tricky. What are some of your other hobbies outside of artwork and church?
I play guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to play golf, and I love fishing. Being on lake, camping, anything outdoor is really what I like. The only problem is down here, you can only be outdoors really. Sometime in the wintertime, we have some mild winter days, but it still gets pretty cold down here. But the summertime it's just unbearable.
Really?
Yeah, I told my wife I really want to move to the mountains. Well, we have mountains, an hour and a half from us, and it barely gets into, the 80s. And I know you take a guess at what that is in Fahrenheit, but I mean in Celsius. But it's just the humidity's low there. They have where I'm talking about Boone, North Carolina. They have a Canadian climate. They have trees that only grow right in North Carolina and Canada.
Really?
At altitude. And so it's unbelievable weather in the summertime. Now, in the wintertime, there can get just like Canadian winters.
Right.
So,
when we went to North Carolina, we went in the winter over our March. The kids get out of school at March. You probably have the same thing, March break there.
Yeah.
And so we went down with friends, and they always get the same. They go to a, what do you call them? Like a retreat or a timeshare. They have a timeshare.
Yeah.
You know what that is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they had missed 1 year or something, so they had an extra year, and so they said, why don't you share and come down with us for free? So we just had to pay for gas to get down there. It was a nice time.
Oh, good.
Pretty touristy. I like the more non-touristy type of holidays personally, camping or relaxing, not shopping or going to museum. Well, some museums I like, but not wax museums. You know what I mean? The touristy stuff doesn't appeal to me.
We go down there at the campground, and it's not in Myrtle Beach. It's actually in between Myrtle and North Myrtle Beach. So there's not a whole lot of touristy things to do there. And so it's very laid back and relaxed. Yeah. We also have a place, we don't have a place. My in-laws get a place on an island in South Carolina called Edisto. If you're familiar with any of the New Cornell and Dill tobaccos, they have one called Edisto.
Okay.
And it's based off this island that we go stay every summer. And so it's on an island, and you have like one little grocery store, a couple of restaurants, and that's it.
Nice.
So basically, you go get your seafood at the seafood market and you cook it yourself. And so we enjoy that. That's coming up in June. We'll be down there in June.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, we were down there last year, and a Category 1 hurricane hit us.
Well, that would be great.
Exciting. I did some Weather Channel YouTube videos for the channel out there, and started getting blown away.
My goodness.
I'd always wanted to do that. I love weather.
Have you ever been up to Canada?
I have as a kid, when I was a baby. I don't remember anything about it. So I would love to get back up there. Do
you remember where they took you?
Well, it was, we went through Michigan, so probably the Toronto area, I would think.
Right.
I've been to Michigan several times, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and where all the wilderness is. So I'm assuming that's sort of like Canada up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to. My neighbors here, they do a motorcycle ministry, and they would go every year up through Canada on their motorcycles. And they tell me all about it. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, if you like camping and canoeing and fishing and the outdoorsy stuff, then especially north of the big city areas, like if you're in, say, 200 kilometers, what is that in miles? I can't remember. 180 miles or something of the border, the U.S. border, it's going to be just like the U.S. But if you get up closer to where I am, it's all lakes and forests and much more.
That's kind of what I envision when I think of, Canada, as far as, I know they have their big cities, but, they're close to the U.S. border.
Yeah.
But when I watch a show, it's the game wardens, and they're in Maine, and they're, they share a border with Canada, but they're in the wilderness, and they're doing their, police work in the wilderness and catching all these trappers and poachers and things. And, I just love that outdoors and all the pine trees and lakes. And I mean, lakes here, all our lakes are man-made lakes. I don't know that I've ever seen a natural lake before.
Yeah.
I know they're everywhere up there. So
I noticed that when we were down, it's kind of, it just loses something when the lake is man-made. It's just not the same.
They dam these rivers up here and they make power. That's really why they make the lakes.
Yeah.
But the lake we live on, I think it's the second or third largest lake east of the Mississippi. It has almost 1,000 miles of shoreline on it.
Wow.
So it's a rather large lake.
And it's man-made. I suppose that it was a smaller lake initially.
Well, it was 3 rivers, the Tougaloo, the Savannah River, and the Seneca River. And they dammed them all up, and it flooded this huge mountainous area.
Wow.
And, it's really nice.
Yeah. Do you ever do scenery painting and so on as part of your art?
Not really. I thought about it. I took landscaping, and when I was in college, like painting, and I wasn't very good at it. I was more of a illustrator kind of thing, advertising, illustrator, cartoons. That's what I love doing. And I didn't, when I worked at Disney, there were some amazing painters because they paint the backgrounds and all the stuff, and they were just absolutely amazing painters.
It's like they're different disciplines, aren't they? It's like it takes a whole team of artistic people to make an animation.
It is. And, the animators were nerdy. The painters were real artsy. I don't know if that's a good way to say it. They were just artsy people. We were nerdy, geeky, Star Wars watching. I mean, that's what we were as the animators were. We were all just nerds.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic. I guess, would you say then that it isn't as artsy to be a caricature drawer or a cartoonist? It seems like that's an art.
Oh, I consider it, definitely an art. I mean, it takes definitely skills to do that. But it's just funny how, different. I'm sure there's painters out there who are nerdy too. I mean,
yeah.
What I have encountered.
You're just generalizing, but it's an interesting observation, and I think there's probably some truth to it. I'm always, as a musician, I always relate things back to music, and the music that I tend to like is more complicated harmonies and rich textures, symphonic stuff, but that's not popular music. And, popular musicians are a completely different breed than the kind of musicians who are really artistic.
Yeah, I can see that correlation between, a painter and an illustrator kind of.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think when you get like Norman Rockwell, I think he was both. He was a painter and an illustrator, which is kind of
really
cool.
I really like his stuff.
It's what made it so different. There's never been anybody like him. I mean, I can't believe nobody's tried to emulate him. I mean, I don't know if anybody can. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
I've seen photographs of his models side by side with his paintings. Have you seen that stuff?
No, I have not. That'd be interesting to look.
It is, because there's so much modification.
Yeah, like caricature of the
it is. There are exaggerations in these drawings, in these graphics, that you don't realize are exaggerations until you look at the model.
I have to look that one up. Now, my mother is a huge Rockwell fan. She's got all kind of books on him and stuff like that. And she may have something like that.
Who's the guy? Maybe I'm mixing it up with another guy. There's also a guy who did those 50s bombshell type paintings. The blonde women. And,
you're talking about like the pinup stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? There's a guy who's really famous for that. I might be mixing him up with the model thing. I can't remember now for sure, but
Norman Rockwell did the Saturday Night Post.
Oh yeah, no, I know who Norman Rockwell is.
Yeah.
I just mean whether I've mixed up the source drawings. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure, you got to have some kind of model. I mean,
yeah.
when I get somebody asking me to do a mascot for them and they tell me what pose they want, I have to look it up and say, well, I need a model, or I have a wooden, the little wooden man you can move his little
arm. You use those, do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to. I mean, you can't, unless you've drawn a certain pose over and over. I mean, if you got something where they want like a superhero pose pointing this and that way, I gotta see. I can't just make that up. Yeah. I mean, I can, but it might not look right. I want it to look
right.
I don't consider that really cheating. I try to do the best professional job I can with them.
What was your favorite comic book growing up?
Really wasn't into comics, actually.
Really?
I wasn't. I watched like the Batman on TV with the whatever the
Bruce Wayne? No, what's his name?
Comic guy. I found there's a comic that a guy came out with. His name's Jeff Smith, and the comic's called Bone. And it sounds.
Oh, I know all about Bone.
It's like Pogo.
Our kids especially the boys, love Bone.
That was my favorite. That's what I wanted, my comic to be like his. I love that cartoon. I didn't like all the, muscular and just women, and I didn't care anything about drawing all that. So
I like to read a lot of Gold Key comics when I was a kid. I'm assuming you have them there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Most of what we have is American anyway, but just sometimes I'll mention something to somebody and they're like, yeah, that must have been a Canadian thing. I've never heard of it. But yeah.
But no, I was more into cartoons and animation.
Yeah.
I did my comic book based off of the Jeff Smith Bone stuff. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. That's like my style.
Did you publish it yourself?
I know I went through Destiny Comics, and I published 2 or 3. I can't remember how many actually got published, but the first 2 were we reprinted and reprinted and reprinted. I didn't get much money for it. The publishers got most of the money.
Wow.
But, so then, like after that, I decided to get into NASCAR.
It's not a good money maker, eh?
Yeah, no, not for me. It wasn't.
I have a friend who wrote comics. He worked for Marvel for a while in New York City in advertising, but he was also a writer. And he had some really good ideas. And he ended up going with a comic publisher called Dark Horse or something. Have you ever heard of Dark Horse? Yeah. And I think he's still pretty popular. For a while, they were looking at his stories from movies. I don't know whatever came of that. I haven't seen him in years.
Have you ever been on like tobaccoreviews.com and looked up tobaccos?
Not much. Once in a while.
Yeah, there's a guy on there that does all kind of reviews. He goes by the handle of Jim Inks, like INKS Inks. And he lives here in North Carolina. And he's probably the best tobacco reviewer out there as far as on tobaccoreviews.com. But he's down the road, and he's an inker for the Archie comics to this day. Still, he still inks Archie's comics.
Wow. So he doesn't. The inkers don't really draw, do they?
They ink the pencil line drawing. So the artist draw a pencil line, and they've got to have a steady hand. It's really.
So it's not done on computers now. It's still all done by hand.
His is, yeah.
Wow. I used to like Archie when I was a kid. I read a lot of Archie comics.
I did too. Yeah, but he still does it by hand. You gotta be really talented to have a steady hand to do it. It's harder to be an inker than it is to actually draw the comic, I think.
You wouldn't want to be spilling ink all over these nice drawings. And would they use like a brush or?
Some people use. I don't know what he uses. Some people use the quill brushes or the quill pens.
Yeah.
And some people use a brush. I've used both, and I wasn't very good at it as far as inking goes. The computer was out when I did my comic, and I used the computer to ink mine. I cheated.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be a lot easier. Scan your drawings in and put them in another layer, ink over top.
Photoshop, I think it was Photoshop 3 was out. And it was the first Photoshop that you could use that had layers. The other Photoshops, you had one layer to work on, and it was, you had one undo. I remember you could go Command Z one time, and that's it.
Yeah.
You get it right. So I remember
those days too.
Photoshop 3 came out. It had layers and multiple undos, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Do you still use Photoshop?
Oh, every day. Yep.
I'm a GIMP user. You ever heard of GIMP?
I have not.
No. I'm an open source software guy.
Mm-hmm.
So GIMP is an open source graphics program similar to PaintShop Pro or Photoshop. How long have you been in the YTPC?
Well, I started YTCP 5 years ago. I came out with 3 or 4 videos and lost interest and quit smoking for a while. McClelland's was still around when I was doing my YouTube videos. I only did 3 or 4, and then
what was still around?
McClelland tobacco.
Oh,
yep, McClelland was still around. You can still buy it, and but I just quit smoking and forgot about YouTube. And about this time last year, I think I've been on YouTube, back on YouTube for a year now.
Oh,
I got back in and found out that McClelland's was gone. I'm like, what? Just started back. I was like, that's my favorite. But yeah, I've been steadily, consistently doing videos on YouTube for exactly a year. Year ago, May.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, did you do a giveaway for your year anniversary?
I haven't yet. No, I'm actually waiting on 300. I've got 298 subscribers as of right now.
Oh, so pretty soon.
I did a giveaway at 150 subscribers, and so I'm waiting on a steady 300, because sometimes you'll get up in the morning and you'll have 300, and by the afternoon you've got 297. So it just kind of...
I noticed that with me. I had 230, and then the next day I was back down to 229. Today I'm back to 230, so not exactly sure what happened there, but somebody changed their mind, or somebody left and somebody came on. But it's kind of fun. I like doing this. You know, it's not, for me, it's not really about getting a lot of subscribers. It's more just about building relationships with other guys, and I don't even really care too much about the pipe tobacco reviews or all that kind of stuff. I like just getting to know some of the guys out there. Yeah. Now, if I'm smoking a certain tobacco, I like to look up what other people think of, something I like, but I just want to thing on my channel. I say, I don't do reviews. My palate's not refined enough to review. I know what I like. And I'll tell you what I like. And I did a thing about Stonehaven and Rich Shark Flake, because if people say they're the same, I did a video about that. I saw that video. It wasn't a review. It just was, I was smoking them side by side. And I like how you did that. You had them out, and one was just slightly darker than the other. I remember I commented that the more smoke in that one, I thought it might have to do with having some black Cavendish in it. Yeah. I just watched a video maybe the day before I saw your video of a guy who blends tobaccos, and he said that sometimes they'll put just a tiniest little bit of black Cavendish. You'd never even know it was in there, just because that extra smoke carries the flavor. Huh? It does. That's really interesting. Yeah, I think so. Propylene glycol is something that a lot of tobaccos have in them, and it'll give it that's what is in vapes. That's why vapes, when you see somebody vape and there's so much smoke comes out, that's propylene glycol. So but what it is, it won't dry. It never dries. Propylene is always wet. And so when you add it to tobacco, it usually causes tongue bite because the tobacco is always wet. But it does make a volume of smoke. But Stonehaven is dry. It's not wet. It doesn't bite or anything. So I don't know why it had more smoke in it. I even said that maybe it had different age on it, or I had no idea. Yeah, it's interesting. It did. And I like that. The more volume of smoke, it's more flavor. And it's a mystery. It'll stay a mystery, I guess. Yeah. Interesting. What does your wife think about you smoking? She's good. She's okay with it. She's not thrilled about it. She's okay that you do it in the house? Well, that's the interesting thing. I started doing it in the garage, and then I have a friend that does interviews. He does the Pipes magazine radio show. His name's Brian Lee, and he lives in Concord. He's a neighbor of mine, and I've been to his house many times, and he has this cool ventilation system, like this fan that's in the wall, and it sucks all the, goes up high and it sucks all that. And he has these filters
Well, I contacted him. I said, what do you got? I need to smoke in the house. I cannot go out there this summer and sweat to death. And in the wintertime, I don't want to be in the garage.
Yeah.
So he told me what to get. So I got the little system and I tried it out, a day or two for my wife. And she came in the next day and she opened the door. She goes, okay, you're good.
You're kidding. Well, I'm going to have to get that too, because my wife won't let me smoke in the house. I have like a basement workshop. And I've been thinking for a while, I want to put some sort of a filtering system in down there so that I can smoke in the house some. In the winter, I don't smoke at all. I basically hibernate from pipe smoking and YouTube videos over the winter, because who wants to stand outside and smoke? I figure if you're going to freeze and smoke, you don't.
Yeah, no,
there's an addiction issue there.
Yeah, I mean, I went. I remember years ago, I would get like this blanket. I'd put this blanket over me in the chair, and I had this little space heater, one of those little electric heaters. And I'd put it under the chair, and it would, warm me up. But I'm still my hands are at freezing. That's no fun.
No.
So luckily, I got the system working, and don't have to worry about it. So when it's hot or cold, I can be in here. And
was it hard to install? Like, did you have to hire a contractor or something, or how does that work?
No, actually, I got one, the fan that he has in his wall, I got one that fits exactly in my window.
You're kidding.
So, yeah, it's just a square thing, and then I've got a purification system sitting to my right, and it circulates it up. That sucks all the smoke smell out. It works perfect.
And you have to change the filters, I'm assuming, like every little while?
Every 3 months.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. How much was it? Do you mind me asking?
The purification system I got for under $200, and it came with 3 filters, and I'm on my second filter now. The filters are $30 a piece. Wow. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. I mean, I don't use it all the time because I don't always smoke in here.
Yeah.
I'm usually outside if we have the nicer weather. So,
do the filters get pretty gummed up? Like, what are they like when you're done? Are they disgusting?
They can be. They're not bad. They're not. I mean, they're mainly just gray, kind of gray looking. It's kind of more dust and stuff in. And it's not bad. Not bad at all.
Sometimes I, do think periodically about. I wonder what the inside of my lungs look like. I don't inhale. Obviously, you don't inhale, right? But still, I wonder sometimes what is the health effect this is having on me long term. But I figure that's in God's hands, like lots of people have bad habits that are just almost as bad, if not as bad.
I think you'd be surprised. I don't think you inhale as much as you think you do. I don't. I mean, I don't inhale at all.
I guess then
I've accidentally inhaled a couple times, and I learned real quick not to inhale.
Yeah. Is pot smoking legal in North Carolina?
Yeah.
It's not legal, or it's not illegal?
It's not legal.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It will be soon, but it's not legal. Medicinal, I think, is legal. It's not a felony or anything. That's kind of a slap on the wrist, but
right.
No, it's not. We don't have pot shops or anything like that. No.
Right.
We just have.
It was legalized here when Justin Trudeau was elected back a few years ago, and so my friend came over, and he has some back issues, and so he smokes it for that, and he grows his own. You're allowed to have 3 plants, I think, here in Canada, and so he gave me some to try, and he said you have to inhale. It's not like a pipe. You're gonna have to get it in your lungs and inhale it, hold it in there. Well, that's awful. Why would anyone want to do that? I hate that feeling. There's no way.
I have a friend, his dad. We've talked about this as a church, and I asked my pastor. I said, "What do you think about if pot became legal? What do you think?" And I told him, I showed him this video of my friend's dad who has Parkinson's disease, and he smokes medicinal marijuana. And I mean, the first video that I shot, the guy's over on the couch, and he's just.
I've seen this video, I think.
And the son comes and gives him his medical marijuana work. Yeah. And the next thing you know, he's up playing the piano. He's like,
it's amazing.
And my pastor said, for something that's he said, that to me looks like kind of a miracle kind of a drug. I mean, I don't see how using it in that way, how that can be bad.
Yeah.
look what it just did for this guy. I mean, his way of life has changed because of this thing. So,
yeah.
I think overindulgence in anything is going to be.
I was just going to say that.
Body's the temple kind of thing. Overindulgence in food is as bad as overindulgence in alcohol or anything like that. So,
yeah. Though I do bristle. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I agree with you completely that overindulgence is the problem. But I do bristle just a little bit. I hope you don't mind me saying when people say the body is the temple, because I don't think that is a good scripture to use to talk to people about how they should treat their physical bodies, because I think that's a spiritual statement. You know, the body is the temple for your spirit, and so the sorts of things that your spirit indulges in that make it not a healthy place for you spiritually, and where the Holy Spirit wouldn't be comfortable, that is more of an issue than the physical things.
You got a good point, but I'm just, the Bible thumpers down here.
Yeah,
that's one of their favorite verses. So
I know. It is here too. We have our share. You
have to tread lightly around other Christians more than you have to regular people. So, I'm right there with you. I understand exactly, but you have to cover all your bases. You don't know who you're talking to.
I know. I tend to be a pretty throw out the baby with the bathwater kind of a guy. I think I tend to be like, you know what? This is what I believe, and if you don't agree with me, that's too bad for you. But
can you imagine when we finally go to heaven and we figure and we know a lot more than we thought we knew, and we're going to be wrong more than we were right? I think. I mean, just imagine what God hasn't told us yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I think there's the basics. There's what you got to know. It's this, and there's no left, right, but there's other things that we can all disagree on and still have fellowship and be brothers. And,
that's a great point.
So
I can't believe that we've talked so long. I'm running out of my second 45-minute chunk, so I think we're going to have to end it there. But I think that was a really good place to end it. So
absolutely, I think so too. I had a ball, man. Thank you for inviting me. This was fun.
Oh, I'm really glad you agreed to do it. It seems like some of the guys, that you are my fourth now. I think some of the guys are a little hesitant, but I just want it to be a get to know you kind of thing. And,
I think it's a great thing what you're doing. And, you can tell I don't like to talk. So,
I hadn't noticed. I like to talk too. So it's no problem here. Well, God bless you, man. Thanks so much for taking your time.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
I will see you around soon, I'm sure.
That was great. Thanks, brother.